All right, it's June. We're halfway through the year, so we've got some great data now. We can look at the midpoint of the year, compare it to the midpoint of last year. So the Beacon report has come out, and I've gotten a lot of phone calls, and people have asked me about this because you can see that the median home price has really come down. According to this, it's down to 693. The interesting thing to me about this is last summer it was 775 in June. June of 23, it was sitting at 785. June of 22 it was 722,000. I want to try to articulate that you have to take this with a grain of salt. Each month, these numbers can fluctuate dramatically depending on what happened, what sales happened, higher home selling or cheaper home selling. And to try to drive that home, I hope this isn't confusing, but let's take a look at the MLS data. So this is June MLS data, basically apples to apples to the Beacon report. And in fact, you can look at the sold price, median category there, 691,000. We just saw the Beacon is at 693. So they're very similar. Even the average sales price you can see is 828. So now let's jump back all the way a year ago, June of 2024. So when you look at these numbers, you see this dramatic difference, right? Back in a year ago, the median was 775 compared to the 691 now. The average price a year ago was 984 compared to the 828 now. So when you see this, it really sets off these alarm bells that, oh my gosh, the market is crashing. Look how much these numbers have come down. But here's the interesting part. Let's look at May of this year. They were average sales price was 926. The median was 770. And again, if we compare this to June of this year, there's almost a $100,000 difference between those two price categories in just 30 days. So when we pull up the median chart again here from the Beacon report, if you kind of look at this is 3 years of data. There's like 37 months of data on here. The price has been relatively level. Yeah, we've seen some peaks, we've seen some valleys, but it really hasn't been any dramatic change in the last 3 years. There's no nosedive in the price here. There's no sustained spike in the price here. So hopefully what I'm trying to articulate is coming through. I don't know if it's tracking at all, but take the data with a grain of salt each month when it comes out. I think when you look back at the big picture, maybe a year, 2 or 3 years of data, it gives you a better indication of the market's current health. All right, let's continue back to the Beacon report. We've got the number of sales here. Actually pretty healthy in June. We went up to 166 sales. June of last year was 145, and then June of 23 was 172. All right, so even just looking at this data, if you compare last year to this year, year over year, the first 6 months of last year, 744 homes sold. This year so far, 779. So there's actually more homes that have sold this year compared to last year. All right, let's go and look at the next chart. Here's our days on market. Little bit slower this summer though. This one's kind of interesting to see because last summer and the last few summers, we really saw the market speed up and really pick up. This year, this summer, it's not quite as fast, but we're about 24 days on market. And this directly reflects supply, right? Those homes are sitting in the market a little bit longer, so we have more inventory. Last summer, we had peaked at 4 months of inventory. This summer so far, we're at 5 months in June. I kind of mentioned in the last video, I thought we might get to 5 or 6 months of inventory. There's currently single family homes under an acre in Bend. There's about 650 that are on the market. But for the last couple months, I've sort of seen that just taper off. So the number of homes coming on versus the number of homes selling is sort of keeping that inventory at the same level. So how are mortgage rates doing? Well, they're pretty stagnant. They're still sitting at about 6.8, 6.9. They kind of go down and things look hopeful, then they sort of go back up. But for a while now, they've floated just under 7. If we talk about the inflation rate too, inflation has now come up a little bit. This is according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. We saw June inflation tick up a little bit. There's a lot of people really pushing on Fed Chairman Jerome Powell to lower interest rates. He keeps saying it. You can Google it. You can watch the videos yourself, which I encourage. Instead of just listening to the news, you can go find this information and hear him say it himself. He really wants to get inflation closer to 2 or at 2%. That's been his goal. And he's standoffish about what's going to happen with the tariffs and all these unknowns out there. He wants more data. He wants more time before he makes a decision about lowering interest rates. So I don't know that that's going to happen anytime soon, especially if inflation continues to go the wrong direction. All right, very last, if you did not have a chance last month to go out onto the tour of homes, it is happening again this weekend. So this is the second and final weekend. This is a great opportunity to tour new homes, sort of see the latest and greatest in styles and designs and features. Even if you're thinking about remodeling a kitchen or a bathroom or doing anything to your house, you can get some great inspiration through that. So I encourage you to get out this weekend, go check out some homes. I'm going to be doing some open houses myself. None of them are on the tour of homes, but it's a great opportunity to hold open houses since the general public is sort of out there checking out homes already. So you'll probably see a lot of open house signs this weekend, and hopefully you'll get out to enjoy some. As always, thanks for watching.